we look at new technologies and we stand up renewable energy. And part of that equation is efficiency. How do we use less energy in a better way, as you're doing here through this wonderful conference and the leadership of all of you who are sponsoring this. That's why it is so important. Over the last year and the last 2 years, we have made some progress on the broad issues of renewables and technology here in Mexico. John Kerry, our special envoy for the president, who has the whole world in his hands, has come here to Mexico on 6 occasions to meet with President López Obrador. And as he has come here, part of what we've been talking about is how we unlock the technology and the great natural resources that Mexico has to make North America a leader in clean energy. We have no doubt these are conversations that have taken place at the White House, that have taken place at Palacio, that have taken place at El Morcillo and Palenque and around Mexico, with Secretary Kerry, myself, and President López Obrador, that we in North America, as we integrate our supply chains, can create the most and best example of an economic powerhouse that works for everybody. And if it's going to work for everybody, it means we also have to address both the challenge and the opportunity with climate. And you do that through your great work as architects, through your great works in buildings, as you do in this LEED Platinum certified building right here at Torre Mayor. That's how you do it. You lead by example. So I want to say that we still have a long ways to go. But the presentation of Mexico at COP27 with Secretary Kerry on the commitments on emissions, on methane, on electromobility, those are all commitments which indicate a pathway for working closely together on these issues. It's not easy. How is it going to be done? How do you take an infrastructure that's been built up over centuries and bring in the new technologies that allow us to use energy more efficiently? And you do it in so many ways. I must say this, Ambassador Moser, before I came here, the day I arrived at the residence, we were still, at that time, using light bulbs that were not very efficient. We've changed that around because we know there's an efficiency aspect to that. And we're doing that around the world, and obviously around Mexico. And the team here that's working on our new embassy compound, it's going to be the best embassy in the entire world, as it should be. The consulates that we are building incorporate the kinds of features that you're all talking about. So we hope that we can be a great example. Let me just comment about Mexico and sustainability. You know, Mexico is one of the 10 countries, as I am told, that has the most significant designs, construction, and operations in sustainable buildings. And sometimes when the world looks at Mexico, including people, my fellow citizens in the United States, we see a lot of problems. I see problems and I see challenges, but I also see more opportunity. And I see an opportunity for us to continue to build a better society and a better world that benefits the people of both the United States and Mexico. And so the example that Mexico has in terms of leading with all these projects, 700 projects that are now LEED certified. That's pretty good. Let's give you a round of applause, whoever's been involved in all that. You guys have done it. Let me finally say in English, and I'll say just a few words in Spanish. Yeah. We need to dream big. And sometimes we create standards, and we try to achieve them. And one of the things we should always try to do is to ask ourselves, are those standards as far as we can go, or can we do better? Can we do better? I was in the United States Senate when we were writing the 2005 Energy Policy Act, the 2006 Energy Independence Act, the Gulf of Mexico Security Act, all on energy. And there were chapters in there on efficiency. relating to appliances, relating to buildings. And I remember the real estate industry coming in time and again saying that we could do better. But we have standards, but even on appliances and buildings, it's still very controversial. But the fact is that we can do better, and we know the technology is there. Unas palabras en español para todos ustedes. Es un orgullo para mí estar aquí esta mañana con el embajador Bowser y todo su equipo. Tenemos nosotros un orgullo de tenerlos aquí este día, porque él tiene en sus manos, el embajador, todo el mundo, 200 países, casi 300 edificios grandísimos como la embajada que tenemos aquí en México. Pero él escogió venir acá a México anoche, pasar tiempo con nosotros, porque él cree mucho en lo que están haciendo ustedes aquí. Entonces a él y a su equipo les damos la muy cordial bienvenida aquí a México. Anoche, cuando llegaron desde el aeropuerto, llegaron a la casa y estuvimos hablando de la relación entre México y los Estados Unidos. Es un trabajo grande que llevamos bajo el liderazgo del presidente Biden, tratando de formar un capítulo transformativo en la relación entre México y los Estados Unidos. No es fácil, hay inquietudes, hay dificultades por todos los días, pero se me parece a mí que vamos por muy buen camino. Y en lo de la energía y cómo se usa la energía en edificios como este edificio, ahí puede ser uno de los grandes ejemplares, no nomás para México, pero para el mundo. Entonces, les doy muchísimas gracias por lo que están haciendo aquí. Que viva los Estados Unidos, que viva México, que vivan las energías renovables, que viva energy efficiency. Gracias.
Señor embajador Salazar, muchísimas gracias por sus palabras y su interés en coadyuvar el desarrollo sustentable de nuestro país. Doy la palabra al señor embajador William H. Moser, director de la Oficina de Operación de Edificios en el Exterior, Secretaría de Estado, Gobierno de los Estados Unidos. Adelante.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real honor for me to be here in Mexico City, and I really remember how a beautiful place this really is. Elisa Silva, I want to thank you and your entire team at SUMe México for putting on this conference and for really making me feel welcome. It's been very kind of you. Ambassador Salazar, I thank you for your remarks, and of course, I want to thank all the participants who are here today for this event. I think that first of all, I should explain a little bit about what Overseas Buildings Operations, or OBO, really is. OBO is essentially the authority within the State Department that is responsible for the 287 locations that we have around the world. And we provide not only all of our official buildings, we also provide residences for our ambassadors, and I had a chance to see the ambassador's beautiful residence last night, and for all of the individual employees who work overseas, because we provide all of the leasing money and the and buy and sell those properties as well. Essentially, I have an army of architects and engineers and real estate agents who provide the facilities that our diplomats need to be effective around the world. And I am very proud to have the opportunity to lead that organization. And I want to say in this context that I am very proud of the relationship that we have had with the U.S. Green Building Council for now over 20 years. We are very, very proud of the 62 leadership in energy and environmental design, or LEED buildings, that we have around the world. And it's something that I talk about quite frequently, that every facility that we are building now is going to at least achieve LEED silver, and we want to try to get to LEED gold, or also if possible, to lead platinum. Events like today, that is our commitment. One thing is I will tell a little thing is I actually am a huge supporter of everything we do in the department on environmental sustainability around the world. But I realize that our operation has to be the part of the State Department that demonstrates that we also walk the walk and not just talk the talk. That we are doing it every day in what we do around the world. Events like today are vital to the architecture, engineering, and construction industries, and equally important to owner-operators like OBO. It is always helpful to be in a room with you to see the latest and greatest and to discuss our shared challenges and opportunities for growth. I was thrilled to learn that the Embassy's Foreign Commercial Service Office teamed up with SUMe to organize this conference. Together, you have attracted an impressive group of clients and consultants. And I will say this is a little bit of advertising. OBO is always looking to expand its pool of contractors. And so if you want to talk to us about, I have Nita Brown here today, and we are always interested in talking to new contractors and trying to get them interested in working for us. I am certain that what you will learn over the next few days will have an immediate impact on the projects and engagements with your clients. So thank you for letting me take a little bit of your time this morning and talk to you. OBO's mission at its core is to provide safe, secure, functional, and resilient facilities that represent the U.S. government and support our diplomatic work abroad. And as I've always said, that's over 287 locations. And we're adding new ones as I speak in the Pacific Islands, in Tromsø in Norway, and in Malé in the Maldives. This can be further broken down, another way of looking at it, as 25,000 individual assets, 82.5 million square feet, and $730 million in operations and maintenance annually. When we say safe, secure, functional, and resilient, we mean it. We must support more than 90,000 people working in these buildings in a way that enables them to do their jobs in a huge variety of conditions. Here in Mexico City, as Ambassador Salazar has already pointed out, we are in the middle of construction of a new U.S. embassy. We also have multiple consulates under construction in Guadalajara, Hermosillo, Merida, and Nogales. And in 1919, we completed Matamoros. In the decade before, we delivered new consulates in Nuevo Laredo, Monterrey, Tijuana, and Ciudad Juarez. 4 of these completed projects have been LEED certified, with Matamoros, Monterrey, and Nuevo Laredo achieving gold. We are aiming for gold in Mexico City and a minimum LEED silver, as I've already said, across all of our projects worldwide. The 9 Mexico projects the 9 Mexico projects have brought $1.5 billion into the Mexican economy. Over 4,000 Mexicans found employments in our projects over the past 15 years. However, the bigger story here is the total investment the United States is putting behind our relationship with Mexico. And I want to echo the words of Ambassador Salazar on how important that relationship is. That investment will allow us to continue working together across numerous sectors, really reflecting the multiplicity and the complexity of our relationship and the importance of it to both of our countries. And our goal at the end of the day is to find new ways to improve the lives of our peoples on both sides of our border. Preparing for today, I was reminded of the uniqueness of each location in Mexico. And as I've looked at these building projects over the years, I've noticed that we're really doing different things in different places. The distinctive cultures across the country are addressed through design and art. And each post's functional requirements are resolved through design and construction programming. But above and beyond that, we know we must address security and climate hazards differently at each site. Our current building program is based on the concept that we are funded to build safe facilities for those 90,000 people. While we have long considered the impact of the climate on our facilities, we have only in the past 10 years started to define processes for evaluating climate as a question of security. We now project that natural disasters will have a much more significant future impact on our portfolio than terrorist activity. In response, we have expanded our security definition to include climate security. We will continue to construct facilities that can withstand blasts from terrorists. That remains critical in today's security environment. But we realize that the future threats also include water shortages, sea level rise, and earthquakes. But how do we identify those threats? We work with leaders in the field like NASA and the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as well as private industry and academic institutions. We started the Climate Security and Resilience Program to gather and analyze data in terms of the impacts on our sites, but not just for now, but in a time frame of 50 to 100 years. Undoubtedly, this research and its data will reveal future requirements that I know many of you are already exploring. Later, our climate and resilience team lead, John Pitts, will go into depth about how we gather and apply research. And he'll be able to answer your very technical questions. Continuing on the theme of research, I'll close out with the idea of innovation and impact. Our future success, not only in OBO, but for all of us as democratic peoples, relies on continuous innovation to be able to address the major problems of today and the future. But if we are not paying attention to the impact of our work, we are missing a major part of how we define success. Sustainability initiatives do a great job of enabling innovation with new methods and technologies, and the certification systems for sustainability help us to measure the impact that these measures have on the built environment. But I ask all of you to broaden that scope and to measure how our work impacts the communities in which we operate. At OBO, we call this the embassy effect. The embassy effect is the value of our collective efforts to contribute positively to the communities where we operate and the world which we share. To illustrate the embassy effect, my team put together a video to tell that story, which is going to be played later on in this conference. It delves into how innovation and impact together create a foundation for strengthening our relationships. These relationships are essential to our success, our collective success in fostering a free and prosperous world. I truly appreciate the opportunity to speak to you and kick off what I know will be an insightful and valuable conference. Please stay in touch with my team, and I thank you for your continued attention to how we can build better, smarter, and more resiliently. This is our future, and we all share a stake in it. So thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, embajador Moser, por sus palabras y su compromiso con nuestros recursos en el desarrollo de sus edificios en el exterior. Cedo la palabra a Renee Kessar, vicepresidenta de Sustentabilidad Corporativa de Johnson Controls. Adelante.
Great, thank you, Alicia, thank you, World GBC, for allowing, for this wonderful event that they made me today and allowing me to just share some thoughts on where we are from Johnson Controls, how we're looking at decarbonization, how we're looking to also transform our business. So a little bit about me. So Renee Kizar, our lead, our global sustainability and regulatory affairs program. With that, I'm responsible for the decarbonization of Johnson Controls, as well as connecting with our customers, with our governments around how we decarbonize buildings. And I think we can all see it for Johnson Controls. So we're a 140-year-old company that literally was founded on the invention of the electronic thermostat. So energy efficiency, cost reduction is in our bones. So now as we sit back these last few years and truly see this inflection point of climate change, we can see how our business now has a critical role for decarbonization. You know, we've seen heat waves, we've seen storm events that have new terms, the atmospheric rivers, we've seen water scarcity, air pollution, and it continues to accelerate. So I think, regardless of where you sit with climate change, you can't deny the physical impact of what's going on. And for us, I think why it's important for all of us to be together is that we can see that how can we collectively work together to aggressively get after the agenda of smart, sustainable buildings. So being as a 140-year-old company, we refer to ourselves now in this transformation as a 140-year-old startup. So we need to aggressively accelerate our tools, our know-how, our expertise, our partnerships. We have to move fast because climate change is happening. And that 2050 is now going to be 2030, 2040. We don't have the time that we think we have. So with that, just a little bit of insight of how we're approaching the issue. First, with our customers, we have 5 priorities. So the first, we've launched a program called Solve for Zero. So we are laser focused on our customers across all industries on how they can fully decarbonize their buildings in whichever form it comes. It could be your corporate real estate, your manufacturing, R&D facilities, you name it. We need to fully decarbonize all the facilities of our customers. But with that, we understand there's a cost containment that needs to occur. It's not at all costs we can decarbonize, but how do we attain the cost, provide the energy efficiency savings, but then also unlock some of the gaps that currently exist with financing and digital. Digital transformation is going to be critical to allowing our buildings to come alive, reduce energy, and ongoing have this machine learning to decarbonize. So that's the second. The third is how do we unlock financing? So what we've been working on is reducing or removing those upfront costs, the capital costs in order to upgrade your buildings or to build your buildings by reinventing our service model, where we'll take on the risk of managing your buildings and return what we call it as a net zero as a service. So as a service, we can manage your buildings, your energy, and ultimately your decarbonization. The third is on R&D. We are committed to investing 75% of our R&D into sustainable products and solutions. Last year, we invested over 90%. This year, we're on the same track. So we fully, as an organization, understand the need for the research and development and the new products and solutions. What we have that exists today can help with decarbonization, but we need this ongoing work. And the last one is in the how we do it. And the spirit of how we do it is through partnership, which is why I love that we're all here today, that you're allowing me some time and the team from Johnson Controls to talk with you. The spirit of partnership, we understand we cannot go at it alone. None of us can achieve this alone, but how do we build the partnerships to truly come together and build the most optimized solution for all of our customers? So not only are we talking customers in the term of corporate, so not only are we talking about customers, but also we're engaging with governments and regulators around building performance standards. It can be an ugly word. But what we're trying to do is to bring together these building performance standards in a way that makes sense. So the first, and coming from the discipline of sustainability and ESG, which many of you can relate to, is how do you measure it? So how are we measuring embodied carbon, and how are we measuring operating carbon? Because we're all starting from that same knowledge base. Then we can all start to work through the levers we have to reduce. And then what do the interim targets look like? So if you see some of these building performance standards come together, there's different interim targets. So while the end point is net zero, we don't believe we're just shooting for net zero. We're shooting for an energy efficiency target in 25, and then 26, and then 30. So what does this look like for each jurisdiction? Always keeping in mind, I think it has to be customized, even with our own journey I'll talk about here in a second, but everyone's footprint looks differently. So while the end game is net zero, I think we also need to recognize that there's a lot of different ways that we can get there. But again, it's the partnership of, for us, when do we use Johnson Controls products? When can I pull in some of my partners? Who does this lever the best? So within these building performance standards, we have the measurement. Next up is the playbook. So how do we develop a standard structured playbook around what exists, tools, technology, subject matter experts, organizations? What does this look like? So that way, not everyone's starting where we are, where we understand at least the fundamentals. But if you put this book on someone's table, how do they know where to begin? And the last is around the financial structures. We can't deny it costs money. And what is the financial structures, where will it come from? So is there an influx of money to get it started? Does it have to do with investment as you go around, you pay for your energy efficiency? But really thinking through what is the best financial structure for that situation. And lastly, what we're looking at within these building performance standards is not only energy and carbon, but bringing in water security. So we can see, I think if you're in the sustainability world, well, in the world in general, you're seeing water security, resiliency come to the top of the agenda. I think this is going to impact us and hurt us much quicker than climate change will. So we're looking within these building performance standards, how do we bring in water utilization? How do you reduce your withdrawals? How do you recycle at the end? How do you reduce your consumption? How do we even put sensors on your taps? Some of the basic items, everything we've done for energy, you could also do for water. Then the last piece, we have our customers, we have governments, and then we have ourselves. So Johnson Controls, you could call us a small city spread around the world. We're a global manufacturer, 100,000 employees, over 1,300 facilities. I have a net zero target, and I have over 20 of our major manufacturing facilities squarely in water stress locations. So we have been, I don't want to say long at work, but over the last few years, really getting into the fine details of more than just some of the energy efficiency know-how we've had, but how do we work for true decarbonization? So we see the opportunity because it is quite exciting. When you can harness the power of 100,000 employees around the world to really be thinking about decarbonization, you start to unlock a lot of great ideas. I see my role as I set up rumble strips on the side of the highway. I can set the frame, I can give you some good ideas. I'll keep you within the rumble strips, but feel free to use your creativity to get there. But there's also some challenges. So we see the challenges that we talked through even this morning. How are we going to pay for it? How do we measure it? How do we make sure externally that we can verify our results? So all of the challenges that we see we're working through ourselves. We actually call the program Customer Zero. We presented it to the board, and the board's like, this is interesting, because finally we have a real life problem, and we have the harnessing the power of our executive staff, our board of directors, and all of our employees to truly solve for zero. So just another example of how we're getting our hands dirty to try to make this work. So just kind of conclude here. One, like the previous esteemed speakers, thank you so much for allowing me to share the stage. It's wonderful, people. The solutions exist. There are solutions that exist today for us to get started. And I'm confident, given our experience, even both externally and internally, that we have enough of what it takes to get it done in a way that we can also finance. The second part is digital transformation is going to be key. The ability for hardware to be monitored, connected, and interact with, we'll say, our systems, our partner systems, and existing systems is going to be a critical piece for this ongoing machine learning of buildings to be smart and sustainable. So again, thank you for having me here, allowing me to share some thoughts that we have. Really excited to hear kind of your thoughts on what we have going on, how we could potentially partner and talk about the art of the possible. So thank you.
Muchísimas gracias al embajador Ken Salazar por su presencia el día de hoy con nosotros. Muchas gracias, René Kizar. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy y por sus palabras. Y bueno, a continuación doy la palabra a la maestra Gisela Fernández Ludlow, directora general para Desarrollo Sostenible de la Secretaría de Relaciones Exteriores del Gobierno de México. Adelante.
Muchas gracias por la invitación. Es un honor para la Cancillería estar en este foro. Debo de empezar diciendo que lo que contó el embajador Moser me llevó a mis primeros días de carrera diplomática. Yo estaba adscrita en El Paso, Texas, y obviamente nuestra contraparte era el Consulado de Estados Unidos en Ciudad Juárez. Y en aquel entonces la gran novedad cuando se renovó el Consulado de Estados Unidos en Ciudad Juárez es que era el más grande de América Latina y también que tenía paneles solares. Entonces esa era la novedad hace unos años y me da mucho gusto ver que ya estamos muy lejos de eso y que ya es la expectativa que los consulados tengan paneles solares. Quisiera platicarles un poco de la parte política, de cuál ha sido el compromiso de México en materia de cambio climático, y eso está muy relacionado con lo que ustedes hacen. Finalmente, el sector privado son nuestros socios estratégicos del gobierno para llevar a cabo acciones climáticas. El panel intergubernamental de cambio climático, que es este panel de expertos científicos de todo el mundo en Naciones Unidas, justo ha expresado su opinión acerca de la necesidad de reducir las emisiones de gases de efecto invernadero a una escala global. Y según este panel debemos de alcanzar el punto máximo de las emisiones en 2025 y reducirlas en un 43% en 2030. La perspectiva de llegar al punto máximo de emisiones en 2025 es muy cercana y evidentemente es un reto para todos nosotros el cómo vamos a poder llegar al famoso PIN, ¿no? El que está la curva y buscar que lleguen a su máximo para poder reducir el resto de las emisiones. Entonces, eso es lo que Naciones Unidas, el panel, nos dice y nos llama a la acción. México contribuye con el 1.3% de las emisiones globales y en la COP que se realizó en Sharm el Sheikh, en Egipto, a finales del año pasado, México actualizó su NDC. La NDC de México es voluntaria, al igual que la de todos los países, y es la contribución nacionalmente determinada. Cada país establece con cuánto va a contribuir a la reducción de emisiones y el anuncio que el canciller hizo en la COP fue aumentar la meta de México de 22 a 35% en 2030 con respecto a la línea base que teníamos anteriormente y vamos a reducir también hasta un 40% en 2030 con el financiamiento internacional, la innovación, la transferencia de tecnología, lo cual nos va a implementar dicho compromiso. También incluimos un compromiso de emisiones de carbono negro de forma no condicionada en un 51% y de 70% en la forma condicionada. Ahora llegamos al cómo. Esta es la parte política del compromiso del gobierno en general. Y es aquí en donde ustedes, sus sectores, sus industrias, nos van a ayudar mucho. Las políticas de mitigación que el gobierno de México se comprometió a implementar incluye 8 sectores. El primero es el uso de suelo y el cambio de uso de suelo a la silvicultura, el transporte, la generación eléctrica, la industria, petróleo y gas, evidentemente, agricultura y ganadería, residencial y comercial, y el manejo sustentable de residuos. Esos son los 8 pilares en los cuales se va a basar la política de México de reducción de emisiones. Como ustedes saben, los mayores sectores de emisiones en nuestro país son energía, lo cual incluye la generación de energía, pero también el transporte, que es de lo que más emitimos, y la agricultura y la ganadería. Entonces, estos son como los grandes aspectos o los grandes sectores en donde vamos a estar trabajando de la mano con todos ustedes. Y luego quisiera poner como un ejemplo práctico de esto que conlleva y agradezco aquí la presencia y es muy útil que nuestros colegas de Estados Unidos también estén participando en este foro. Un ejemplo práctico de cómo se vería este compromiso es el Plan Sonora. Este plan, para quienes no lo conocen, es una instalación de 5 centrales fotovoltaicas con una capacidad de generación de 1.000 megawatts cada una, y cuando esta planta quede instalada será la planta solar más grande de América Latina. Y bueno, ahí estamos trabajando muy de la mano con nuestros colegas de Estados Unidos para lograr este plan Sonora. Otro ejemplo muy práctico es el sistema de comercio de emisiones. México es de los pocos países y es una de las cosas que más nos reconocen a nivel internacional, que tengamos este sistema de comercio de emisiones para regular los gases de efecto invernadero en las grandes fuentes industriales. Y también tenemos una estrategia nacional de economía circular. Entonces, es en este enfoque de acciones más concretas de cómo podemos reducir las emisiones. Antes de concluir, no quisiera dejar de mencionar también que para México, además del pilar de mitigación, está acompañado también del pilar de adaptación en nuestra política climática. Ya se mencionó también la necesidad de hacer la infraestructura resiliente, entonces eso es parte de nuestras políticas de adaptación, cómo hacer que los edificios, puentes, casas, escuelas puedan sostener estos desastres. También tener sistemas productivos resilientes y garantizar la seguridad alimentaria forma parte también del pilar de adaptación que tenemos. Para concluir, quisiera también recordar que muchas veces nos preguntan ¿cómo es posible? Por un lado escuchamos que hay intensas sequías, que se está quemando, que hay fuego en el norte del país. Y por el otro lado escuchamos que hay inundaciones, que hay agua, que los ciclones tropicales están afectando más México. Eso es porque México es un país altamente vulnerable al cambio climático. Entonces, eso implica que lamentablemente vamos a tener sequías intensas, prolongadas, y también vamos a tener ciclones tropicales que afectan el 60% del territorio. Esto muestra la complejidad del trabajo que tenemos por delante de nosotros y cómo México, las políticas climáticas buscan co-beneficiar el desarrollo. Entonces, concluyo justo agradeciendo la invitación y haciendo un llamado para que juntos y juntas podamos intentar reducir lo más que se puedan las metas de nuestra contribución nacionalmente determinada, reduciendo las emisiones, de la mano con ustedes, con la innovación que ya se mencionaba y de la mano de sus sectores. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, maestra Fernández, por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Quiero invitar ahora a Peter Templeton, presidente y CEO del US Green Building Council Green Business Certification, Inc., a darnos unas palabras. Gracias, Peter.
Gracias, Vero, y muy buenos días a todos, y ya de vuelta al inglés. Good morning to everyone. I'm so happy and honored to be here with you. As many of you know, I proudly served as Vice President of SUMe until my appointment as President and CEO of US Green Building Council and the Green Business Certification Inc. Last year, and it's absolutely delightful to have this opportunity to be back with all of my SUMe colleagues and my members for this exciting executive forum this week. So thank you for having me back. I'm delighted to be here. I wanted just to simply start by referencing the point that Ambassador Salazar had made earlier about transformative relationship between the US and Mexico and the importance of we coming together to address some of the global challenges that we face. I certainly hope that he will look to our community as an example of that type of relationship. We look at our relationship between the US Green Building Council and GBCI and SUMe as one of our most important partnerships in the global fight to address climate change. And we're delighted to be able to be here to celebrate with all of you the progress that we're making and look at how we can leverage one another's respective resources and expertise to really make additional progress moving forward. I'm particularly honored to share the stage with our special guests this morning, and I would like to extend my thanks on behalf of GBCI and USGBC and GBCI Mexico to Ambassador Salazar, Ambassador Moser, and Director General Fernandez. We're grateful for the support that you provide, not only for this event today, but for the support that you're given to our greater mission that all of us here are working to advance. We're delighted to hear the words that you've shared of how committed you all are and the organizations behind you are and the progress that you yourselves are making. And we look forward to finding ways to leverage our community support to advance that work. I also want to give my thanks to Stephen Alley, the Minister Counselor of Commercial Affairs, and the team of the U.S. Commercial Service for helping us make today's event possible, to Renee Kazar and Johnson Controls for their support, and to Felipe Flores, Operations Director of Reichman International, and his team here at the leadership of Doremeo and Doriana for providing us this beautiful LEED Platinum certified space for the Foro and SUMe Awards this week. And finally, and most importantly, in addition to all of those things, I want to give special thanks to Alicia Silva, the president of SUMe, the members of the SUMe Executive Board, all of the SUMe members, and Veronica Ibarra for their work in convening this important forum, and for your leadership in leading the green building movement here in Mexico. In 2018, GBCI and SUMe formed GBCI Mexico with a shared goal of promoting the adoption of green business practices throughout Mexico and the region. At its simplest, GBCI Mexico is a partnership helping to accelerate market transformation to sustainability by sharing tools and frameworks for best practice, expanding access to technical expertise and educational resources, and showcasing examples of project and institutional leadership. Thanks to all of you who are participating in your program, you will make sure that we do all of these things this week. I want to thank each of you for your part in bringing us together in this wonderful space overlooking Mexico City's business center. It's exciting for me to be back in Mexico City and with such a fantastic group of green building experts, innovators, and leaders. Many of you in this room are dedicating your lives and your professional careers to transforming the built environment. And I want to be clear that you are the foundation of the green building movement because it's the work that you are doing in the practice of making the practice of green building strong and positioning it to grow dramatically. Together with you and our partners working in every sector, in every region of the world, we have proven that market transformation is possible and that the built environment can and must be a central part of the solution to the climate crisis, to improving occupant and community health, and to achieving social and economic equality. The green building market continues to grow. There are currently more than 105 LEED certified building projects around the world, 105,000 LEED certified building projects around the world, including more than 80 million square meters of newly certified space in just this past year. Thanks to you, LEED is being used all over the world on buildings, homes, communities, and cities. And amidst the uncertainty of the post-pandemic economy, LEED project registrations are up more than 25% over last year. And nowhere is that more true than here in Mexico. As the ambassador referenced earlier, there are now more than 1,400 LEED registered and certified projects. And last year alone, Mexico had 167 projects registered for LEED and 90 projects achieved LEED certification. In 2022, Mexico once again ranked among the top 10 countries in the world for the most new LEED certified space. And in addition, San Pedro Garza became the first LEED for cities and communities existing city in Latin America. These are huge accomplishments and congratulations. We have made tremendous progress advancing sustainability practices in the building industry, and it's important that we recognize and celebrate what we've made happen. But we also know that there is much more work to be done. The climate crisis is upon us, and we must respond with renewed urgency. As the previous speakers have addressed, the causes are unavoidably in front of us, the issues that we're trying to address. We must act. Coming out of COP27, the UN Environment Programme reported that to meet the global net zero emissions, CO2 emissions targets by 2050, emissions from the building sector will need to be cut in half by 2030, just 7 years from now. This will require an annual emissions reduction rate of 8%, equivalent to achieving reductions levels only seen at the height of the pandemic each year for the remainder of this decade. It's up to all of us to help accelerate the pace of emissions reduction by leveraging our collective influence and know-how to drive wholesale market transformation. And we can't do it alone. Uniting our efforts and seeking out meaningful partnerships is critical to our success. Partnerships will help us develop the full potential of the diverse, talented, and passionate people who empower our movement. Working closely with committed individuals, organizations, governments, and others, we'll see in this that we will see here with these next few days, we will continue to move the needle for sustainability across our industry and others. Collaboration and innovation go hand in hand, and we're energized by the relationships we have developed and the new opportunities they present to expand our influence and impact. This moment requires us to be at our best and our most focused. We must engage our entire community as well as partners and experts from beyond our industry to bring us closer to realizing healthy, resilient, equitable, and sustainable buildings and communities for all. We must leverage the momentum behind green finance and ESG goals to turn commitments into action by organizations, cities, and communities. And we must embrace new drivers, new partners, and new thinking to ensure real progress is made. The building industry is changing not just around us, but because of us. Our collective work has raised the bar on expectations of building performance. It has created new supply chain opportunities among us, and most importantly, it has readied the market for the innovation in practice, in process, in materials, and in technology that it will take to meet those expectations at scale. Every single person in this room and across the green building industry has helped us prove what is possible. And it will take all of us now to turn what we know is possible into standard practice in every building and every community. We are grateful for your partnership. We are committed to the success of this shared mission, and we look forward to working with all of you to achieve it. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Peter, por tu amistad con SUMe y el gran trabajo que realizas desde el US, GBC y GBCI en este momento tan definitorio para nuestro futuro. Muchas gracias. Y ahora quiero pedirle a la maestra Alicia Silva, presidenta de SUMe, dar la declaratoria inaugural y que nos dé unas palabras de despedida para nuestros invitados a la inauguración de este primer Foro Ejecutivo de Acciones Climáticas, Construyendo el Futuro.
Pues gracias a todos. Esto es un gran esfuerzo de toda nuestra comunidad y de toda la gente que vino desde muy lejos para estar aquí con nosotros. Quiero reconocer muchísimo al equipo de Lorena Campa, que es el que puso todo esto y organizó lo que va a suceder en estos 2 días. Pero sobre todo quiero agradecer a nuestros hosts de este evento, que gracias a la intervención de Felipe Flores y de Torre Mayor y todo su equipo, estamos aquí y quiero hacer un agradecimiento a toda la gente que vino a la inauguración. Y tenemos un evento especial muy rápido en el que voy a pedir a Peter Templeton y a Felipe Flores que suban un momento, porque quiero compartir con todos ustedes que la semana pasada, en un viaje de más de 11 años en la sustentabilidad, nuestro recinto oficial obtuvo la certificación LEED Platino con 83 puntos. La verdad es que un aplauso para todo el equipo de Torre Mayor. Es un recorrido fabuloso que ha hecho desde hace 10 años. Estuvo su primera certificación en el 2013 en operación y mantenimiento con 61 puntos, la recertificación con 72 y la semana pasada lograron 83 puntos. Entonces, aquí está el diploma para reconocerlo, por favor.
Well, what a surprise. Thank you everybody for this distinction and for this award. Dear Alicia Silva, dear Mr. Templeton, dear members of the Presidium. I want that all of you be my witness that all the job that we do every day is a hard job made with big effort and made with big passion. And the reason to do this is because we want to be a good example for this country, for our society, for the rest of the real estate market in sustainability, efficiency, and productivity. On behalf of Fibra 1 and Union Investment, owners of Torre Mayor, and the staff of the building, I want to say thank you from the deep of my heart. Thanks so much. Take care.
Con este pequeño reconocimiento declaramos inaugurado nuestro evento. Esperamos que todos aprovechen muchísimo. De verdad tenemos los mejores panelistas del mundo el día de hoy para ustedes y estamos muy agradecidos por todo el apoyo de todos y cada una de las gentes que están aquí el día de hoy. Muchas gracias y por favor empecemos. Ahora pueden empezar el networking. La siguiente conferencia empieza, pues, como está el horario, creo que a las 11, ¿no? A las 10. Bueno, tenemos 5 minutos para que podamos movernos un poco. Gracias.